All right, we are live. Go for it, Kaylin.
All right, welcome everybody. This is Restore Our Roots. As you can see in the title, we're all about people, plants, and community, and we're really working in and around Downingtown, but we're not opposed to branching out. So, there you go. So basically, we're a ragtag group of a bunch of different backgrounds who all had one kind of positive driving force that we wanted to get involved in the environment some way, shape, or form. We were looking at mostly doing native plants, doing some native food crops, pollinator habitats, rain gardens, a lot of stuff along those lines, and also doing a lot of outreach. So just to kind of tell you that we want to be as diversified as possible. We've just started. You can just tell by our backgrounds. So one thing that we've realized is not everybody's going to know everything. So we're completely open to everybody's ideas, perspectives, and we just want to learn as much as we can so that way we can inform the public or help the public understand what we're trying to do better. So here's our mission. It's a lot of words. I'm just going to kind of summarize it by saying we want everybody and anybody who has a passion with this to help if they can, or just be involved some way, shape, or form. We don't care who it is. When it comes to some of these plantings and whatnot, the more hands, the better. So we really want to make sure that what we're trying to do is getting broadcast loud and clear in terms of trying to plant native and maintain native, and why is that good for everybody else. I think one of the hardest things is to kind of get the community involved in a sense that you know, why should other people care, and how does it impact them? And that's kind of where we want to set into trying to do a bunch of different avenues. And sometimes physical projects are the best talkers. So we have high trafficked sites, and meaning we're focusing in on parks and private landowners within the community, and some other kind of high visibility targets to kind of just show what we can do and show the benefits of doing what we would like to do. So one of the main things that often got overlooked, and it's gained a ton of traction now, is the historic Hershey trees in Downingtown. Frankly, I'm not from the area, and learning about the Hershey trees was kind of insightful because nobody really knew that this was here. And it's stuff like that we want to make sure it gets broadcasted to a wider audience. And every little bit matters. It doesn't matter if you have, you know, an acre, a half acre, or just a couple planter pots. Any little square foot matters. So we've already kind of started in on this. If you've been to Kerr Park recently, or been around Kerr Park, you probably saw a bunch of tree tubes. We did this planning in mind to try to work with the community. The planting project layout that you see on the graph paper on the right was our initial design. And basically we had to adjust it because some of the input from the public said that the trees were a little bit too close together, so we spaced them out even more. We really wanted to focus in on species that were going to be beneficial and survive in those habitats. So we got a bunch of flowering shrub species. We got a bunch of hardy tree species that don't get over, I think, maximum 60 foot tall over their entire lifespan. So we just tried to make this one of the gems here. It's high visibility. People are going to see it a lot, and it's a great educational point as to what can happen when you start to plant native. So where we're at on this project is 2 phases out of 5. We had enough plants to spill over from where we originally wanted to start. We still have a long ways to go. We're following the little tributary down all the way to the stream, and because we ran out of trees, we kind of stopped. So we planted a wide variety. I think black chokeberry and red chokeberry were the major components. The middle picture that you see is a sweat bee that had just gotten on our little black chokeberry or actually that's red chokeberry. Regardless, that shrub had just flowered not even 3 days after we planted it, and there was already native solitary bees that were all over this stuff. The right-hand picture is just a bumblebee on a black willow. We did have a couple black willow live stakes planted and pussy willow live stakes planted, and we're working with Public Works to ensure that some of those plants make it through. There are sections that we thought about widening because they've just been either low-lying areas that gather water and hold water, or they have just not been used. We're still in talks with Public Works and the Borough of Downingtown to just kind of hammer out these ideas and make sure that we're not stepping on any toes in the future. One of the things that we also learned about these buffers is that typically when the trees pop up, it's great for a little bit, but if the overall goal is to try to grow a forest, it struggles because everything's about the same height, about the same diameter, and takes up roughly about the same space. So what we've experienced through doing these buffers at Stroud is that invasive species take hold pretty quickly. If you don't have a diversified group of overarching canopies, different layers of canopy cover, like an understory shrub cover versus an overstory overlapping canopy, wide ranges of ages and wide ranges of spaces usually provides ample cover and really suppresses the invasive species for a while. So mainly we're kind of splitting the maintenance at the moment. We've got 2 little cage shrub plots that we're weed whacking. Everything else seems to be being mowed by Public Works. When we do the understory component, there's going to have to be a little bit more discussion about that. But we did plant live stakes, as I said, on the stream. They mistakenly have gotten mowed. I think when we did the live stake planting back in December of last year, a lot of them have made it through the winter and sprouted this spring. I feel pretty firmly that even though they got mowed this year, they're going to put enough root mass in to the side of the bank that they may sprout next year. But the thing that we want to make sure is that we're working with the borough and Public Works to make sure that we don't accidentally keep mowing the live stakes. So And I'm going to hand this off to Zach, and he's probably going to take you through a majority of the rest of the project. You got to unmute yourself, Zach.
Thank you. Am I unmuted? I can't even tell, honestly. Cool. So we've done a couple community outreach events since we kind of formulated in April of last year. The first of our stabs to try to make ourselves known and try to get people involved and interested in what we're doing was Boo Bash and Halloween. So for both of the events, for Boo Bash, we hung out in Kerr Park and hung out and handed out candy with business cards and kind of tried to spread our message. And Halloween, we hung out and we passed out more candy and talked to adults, and it was a pretty good time. We have networked with Downingtown's Tree Commission, and it is through the Tree Commission that we have learned about the Hershey trees, which were planted by John Hershey in 1921. We have met with the Chester County Historical Society, and they are trying to kind of come up with just a network of people who all have things that they'd like to preserve. And try to create a co-op where funding can happen between groups and grants can happen between groups, and try to make the because the Chester County Revolutionary Brandywine Battlefield group is there, Friends of Martyrdom Tavern, the Tree Commission. We got invited, Tredyffrin Historical Society. So we were invited to be a part of that because of the work that we've done in trying to spread the message of the tree commit or the Hershey trees. We have a working relation with Steve Sullins, the Downingtown, the borough manager. And we have been working with the Planning Commission, the Parks and Rec Department, Public Works to try to make sure that we're not stepping on toes as we're trying to get our projects completed. Our newsletter we started crafting in November of 2019. We haven't missed an issue yet, which is pretty cool. We are currently in the midst of designing a website so that all of our endeavors can kind of be centralized. And we are active on social media. In addition to the buffer, we have a couple other projects that we're trying to kind of get started. It's kind of difficult with COVID-19 kind of putting everything in a state of hiatus at the moment. But among the products or projects that we're currently looking to do is taking the disc golf course in Downingtown and removing the invasive species from the woodland and plant native plants in the woodland and around the course so that it can kind of help influence the course and, help guide it. We have been in talks with putting a rain garden in at Samuel Tavis Park. We would like to turn the Downingtown log cabin into, or putting a garden adjacent to the property to help with the saturation. And landscaping at the fish pond, all of which are on our to-do list. In March of this year, we were approached by two Downingtown locals wishing to kind of get some perspective and advice on what they can do with their 13 acres of land. They had done a couple programs that gave them money to plant native trees on their property, and they some of the trees were hit and miss. They weren't happy with their results. And we were able to do a walkthrough of their property and kind of get an idea of what they wanted their estate to become. And we have a working proposal right now that's start up in October to do invasive species removal and plant approximately 40 native trees in their land and start creating, tending to the needs of the wetlands and promote health and make sure that it stays healthy. So there are more views of the land. That last picture is from the wetlands too. I'm not sure if that was super obvious, but I will say it out loud because I ramble. But one of the developments of this landowner watershed restoration is they are looking to get a environmental easement put on their property so that when they depart the physical plane, that their 13 acres won't be turned into townhouses and it won't destroy the land, and they're able to have some level of comfortability knowing that it'll stay virgin wetlands, which we are all in support of. We have began to work with some outside groups. We were at Bondsville Mill, as Tara said last week. We were helping restoring their park. We have cooperated with the Downingtown Tree Commission, and we are currently in cahoots with them for doing a lecture on urban composting scheduled for August 5th. I think that's a Wednesday, but please don't quote me on that. But that's going to be done through them, through the Downingtown Library. We have done work with the East Branch Brewing Company's Green Crew, and we did an invasive clearing together back in December. And yeah, we're working with the Boy Scouts. We have a gentleman who's like trying to complete their Eagle Scout project with Restore Roots as the sponsoring, I guess the sponsoring entity. I was ever a Boy Scout, so forgive me, I might be saying the wrong things. But yeah, they're looking for us to sponsor the project. Ultimate Frisbee is looking to cooperate on their disc golf project. And we got plants. Some of the things that we're looking to do in the future is Earth Day, which unfortunately we couldn't do anything for the 50th anniversary due to COVID, but hopefully, next year we'll be able to get out and kind of spread some of these messages. Good Neighbor Day would have been 2 weeks ago, and that was a falling out, but there's always hope for 2021. Blue Bash has a repeat. We are currently looking to gain access to a place that we can call a physical headquarters, such that we can do trainings and lectures and maybe actually be able to host a seminar on things that are going on, topics that the community cares about. And if we're able to get that far, we could hopefully sell native plants and possibly homemade pottery at the Downingtown Farmers Market. And I'm going to pass it to Tara.
Great, thanks, Zach. Yeah, so we do have some volunteer opportunities, as Zach mentioned, and Kaylin, we're kind of limited to what we feel safe to do right now, but in the future, we're always welcoming people to help us with live events that we do. As Zach mentioned, we do trying to do a lot of outreach and thinking about actually doing some online live presentations like through Facebook and whatnot, some webinars that we may have ideas that coming up in the future. But of course, live events are always going to be available for you to help out with when the time comes. And monitoring our plantings, helping us to do those invasive plant removal events. And also we might be, doing some other seed planting that we've got doing with family events and kiddo outreach and crafts and things that might happen. So those are to come. In the immediate future of what we need kind of right now that anyone might be interested is helping us with our newsletter that comes out every month, and we've got a pretty good list, and we just have like a couple main articles, and then we have maybe something short and sweet that's a cool informational video that we thought was like either a plant recipe or giving awareness to a species of plant that's really not as appreciated as others, and just kind of creating that awareness about really cool natives in the area. So we're always welcome. We always welcome folks to help us write, because some of this we are just learning ourselves. And so don't feel shy if you don't know much about a certain plant. This is your time to kind of learn and craft it and get it out to the public. So that's really welcomed. And then also we would love help editing. We always try to look it over as a team, but it'd be nice to have somebody that's actually trained in doing this. So we welcome that. And also, if you have ideas for what you would like to see or think that the public should know, we welcome those ideas, just as submitting an idea, and that's how we've gotten some of our past newsletter topics. Also, if you're interested in doing any social media support for us, whether it's like designing Facebook banners, Instagram, messages, anything like that, or posting, keeping that live, let us know. And of course, we're always plugging our plantings that we do in the future. And I think next slide, we can go into any questions, and I might, I'll end the recording here, I think, and then we can kind of open this up to maybe